Good afternoon, everybody. It is 12:57 in the afternoon on this Tuesday, the 30th of October. I've got the 5-minute chart pulled up on the dollar index just because we're getting close. I want to see what happens at the close of the hour here because it's pushing that 97 level, and we could be forming a pretty monstrous double top zone here. Um, right up there. I mean, we're testing to see if we will breach the highs of 2018 or not. That's kind of what we're looking for here to see if there'll be any selling pressure that comes in, or if the dollar wants to actually entertain a trade higher. We'll have to see what it wants to do. It was at 96.97. Now it's at 96.96. I believe 96.98 is the high. Yeah, 96.98 is the high. There's a lot of cycles in the currency markets that, and in the equity markets. Generally, when you find it happening in one market, it's happening in another. Gann cycles, and I'm talking about the 90-day Gann cycles. So there's the 90-day, the 180-day, the 270, and if you think of a compass, north, south, east, and west, or north, east, south, and west, or west, north, east, and south. If you go around a compass, you have a that's how Gann square of 9 is set up, and let's see what we have here. I wonder if it's going to be able to do it or not. Looks like we're not going to hit the close at 97. Because there's a lot of markets looking like they want to do a little bit of a switch in their direction. And we may have topped out here. Pretty parabolic on this drive too. If you look at these trend lines on the hourly, it's looking pretty parabolic. Yeah. We'll see. Just waiting a couple more minutes here. I kind of want to see what happens. Want to see how we play out here. There's I was on Cryptosomniacs last night for a good hour or so, and we talked about correlative markets in Bitcoin, and there's really not. One of the hosts, um, man, it's terrible. It's very rude of me to not remember his name. Um, he wore glasses, but so did so did everybody. But he had made a good. Somebody had asked, is there a correlation in cryptocurrencies between Bitcoin and other markets? And he had mentioned that there isn't, and that's very true. There really isn't. And I remember trying to find out if there was a correlative market to Bitcoin, or an uncorrelated market that you could see, something where a correlated market means that if well, we'll use so if the U.S. stock market is going up, oftentimes you'll see the dollar yen pair going up, or if the dollar yen is going up, then the euro dollar is going down, and vice versa. So if the euro dollar is bullish, we can often see the other dollar pairs not doing so well. So the thing is is there a market that reacts to Bitcoin, or that Bitcoin reacts to or trades to the inverse of, or to the positive side of? It's hard to say that there is one. I mean, you could make a case, for any market. I remember one gentleman mentioned, this wasn't last night, but this was was in a webinar. He had mentioned that there was some correlative action between the NASDAQ and Bitcoin, but I think that's might be a little bit of a stretch. And then there's also, there was some people had hoped that there would be a like an inverse action or a correlative action between gold and Bitcoin, but that's not true either. And I've thought at times that there may be a correlation between the dollar index and Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, but that's not true either, because we've seen the dollar index rise and cryptocurrencies rise at the same time and vice versa. So it's not a one or the other scenario. But if the dollar index were to fall significantly, I would have a hard time not believing that Bitcoin would not catch a bid of some sort, that it would not catch a nice drive higher. I just feel like that is a natural thing to occur. All right, we are 3 minutes in. I want to see what the first... Yeah, I don't know if we'll breach that or not. We shall have to see. It's pretty persistent, though. I think a lot of things have... I think the pound, the euro, and some others have kind of bottomed. I think it's going to be difficult for it to go above. And even if it does, I don't think it sustains for very long. Yeah, I'll just let me open up another chart, drag it off the screen so I can look at that instead of keeping you guys here. Oops. There we go. Okay, let's see. We've got... Where am I at? And that's some tightening price range up there in the dollar index. It's getting pretty constricted up there. Hard to not watch this play out, which we might as well do. $96.97. So we can talk about, like, when I talk about a parabolic move, I mean a parabolic move is when you have an established trend, a slope for a trend up or down, and then it increases. So we have we have a clear uptrend below this line here. Okay, so we see we have an uptrend here. Here's another uptrend, and then we have another one here. Okay, followed by a continuation, followed by another move, and it is just getting higher and higher and higher. And then eventually, we just, it's gravity kind of takes over essentially. What's that? 96.99, pushing that 97 handle. It's getting a little heavy up there. Yep, it does. It really does. Basic attention tokens doing very well. No doubt about that. $98.99. Let's hit that 97. So the retrace is the retrace over. You know what? I'm just gonna set an alert. And it'll go off when and if it happens. Which, ooh, it touched it, tagged it. Okay, let's go ahead and take a peek at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin. So the move yesterday, I mean, we're what are we doing? We're consolidating into a triangle. That's shocking. On the hourly chart, I mean, I don't know how tight of a range it wants to get into, but nonetheless, it is just kind of hanging out there. Oh, we tagged 97. But it hasn't crossed it yet. All right. Just looking at the patterns here. I mean, there's really not that. So when we're looking at this, there's really not a lot of. We're still within this tight congestion zone, folks. That has not changed. Here's there's two major. Well, so this we've got this trend line right here that I'm circling with my mouse. That is the 2018 swing low to the next to the. I think that's from June to. What are we at here? Stop that. Looking at, yeah, this is from June to August. That's what we're looking at. So June to August is this trend line, and what we're seeing is it's remaining above that. Then just below it is the other upper trend line. This is a long-term trend line. This goes on for quite a while. This goes all the way back to 2015, I believe. And so that's what we're looking at there. I mean, really not seeing a lot of difference in these zones, but there's two of them, so that's two shared strong support zones that we should pay attention to. Looking over here at, where are you at? Ethereum, very much a lot of the same story. So we broke down this trend line here, but we're still above a long-term uptrend line. I mean, again, not a lot of changes and difference going on in any of these. It's still trading within a particular value area, and we're not seeing any reason to see it alter or anything. So yeah, it's a very interesting setup here, but we should more than likely observe a change. I mean, because if, like, I'm looking at Ethereum's chart right here on the daily. There we have that 197 cross on DXY. We'll see if there's any. I'm going to say it's going to be difficult to try and push this any higher. But given the time of day, I mean, we probably can. I'm anticipating a double top on a daily and weekly chart for the dollar index. We'll see. But Ethereum, like, we have this law of vibration cycle. We're halfway through it, and we should really observe prices a rally from this zone here if we get a good volume pump on the hourly data. I mean, so I'm looking here at Here's Ethereum. This is Coinage. Look, this is GDAX's data. So we see pretty clear distribution going on here. Still, look at the order book. It's pretty strong to the selling side. If we look over to Binance, look at Ethereum. Same kind of story. You know, we're seeing not a lot of immediate buyers wanting to step in around these value areas. There was an inverse head and shoulder that we had formed, but that didn't really turn out to be anything. Whoa, what happened there? That was weird. Trying to think here what we've got going on. What we could see. Yeah. Volume still, what is Bitfinex doing with its data here? Bitfinex order books. So there's 150 that want to buy, 77, 24, 14. I mean, I like what I really like about this is a very cool kind of setup. Oh, let's take a look at that dollar index real quick. New 2018 highs. And parabolic as hell right now. Making a new upper slope. It's got to keep moving higher if it wants to keep moving higher. Guess that makes sense, doesn't it? But we're definitely getting into an area where this is not going to be sustainable any longer. Oh boy, and when it drops, it's going to drop hard. Oof. It'd be interesting. We're seeing something cool happen. Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Looking at, let's go back to here. All right, so looking at this is on Bitfinex. So we have walls. There's a buy wall. I don't know why they call it a buy wall at 15 Ethereum. There's a sell wall at 196.93. That's at 175. Yeah, I mean, there's really not a lot to look at. I mean, there's a lot of volume coming in today, a lot more than we've seen lately. So the reason why I am looking at the DXY so much right now is because the dollar index is really kind of I mean, you really can't trade Forex without using the dollar index, because the dollar index is the it is the it's a basket of currencies weighted against the dollar. So I think it's half of it is the euro, then it's the yen, the pound, U.S. dollar, the Canadian dollar, and the oh, what's the other one? This is the Swedish kroner, and there's maybe some others. I know they've got to kind of rebalance it, redo it, because it's a little wonky. But yeah, so let's see here. What do we got going on? Ooh, that pound is getting hammered. Pound could break the 2018 lows. Actually, where are the 2018 lows could get broken. I don't know. That'd be weird. Oh yeah. So, anyways, the reason I'm looking at the dollar index and foreign currencies, because there is a correlative move here and a correlative trend thing going on in all of these markets, and that's with Gann's cycles. So here's the dollar index. If we go by the swings here, oops. From there to here, that's we're at, oh, actually, to here, 256 days, approaching the 270s. I mean, we're not quite within that 270-day cycle with the dollar index from that low, but are we within a 90 cycle from a previous swing here? We definitely could be. Ooh, 40-day cycle. Anyways, there's a lot of things sitting within the 90, 180, or 270-day cycles. And why is that important? Well, it's important because Gann wrote that 90 days after any important major high or low, you should look to see what happens, because after 90 days there is a very strong probability of support or resistance being found. All right, and then if you get a continuation move, you get to the 180-day cycle, and that also creates so they kind of get the chances of a reversal happening after 90 days is strong, but then after 180 days it's stronger, and then after 270 days it's even stronger. So when you see things forming these double tops and bottoms on a 180 or a 270-day cycle, you're getting into the extremes of how far something can move, and you're getting into a condition where major support and resistance more than likely can be found and made and will be created. And for a lot of these markets, just looking at the current, if we just look at what the current time of year is, Gann wrote that in a lot of the, specifically the 270-day cycle, Gann wrote that it's very probable that it will cause a 90-day counter trend to end the year. And whether he was talking about, I assume he was talking about the yearly cycle, so we're talking about 360 days off of any important swing high or low. But it just so happens that we're within that 270-day cycle in a lot of currency pairs, and then some of the equity indexes. We're looking at being in that area where in Gann's cycle and in calendar year wise, we're looking at that 90-day reversal happening. So essentially, we're looking at a change in trend from now until the end of 2018, beginning of 2019. All right, so that is a very normal thing to see. And we're seeing equities come back a little bit here. That's good. Take a look here. What are we trading at right now? I didn't even see. Oh, peeling a little bit off. Yeah, it's getting a little heavy up there. Timber. Gonna be ouch fall. Okay, NASDAQ holding positive at the moment. The Dow Jones holding positive. NASDAQ holding positive, that's a good thing. The S&P's holding positive. So I think we get some supportive activity going on here for the I think this Venus retrograde cycle is run its maximum as far as how farther down equities go, and I think that goes for a lot of the other markets. I think we see a turnaround in a lot of these. In the majority of these markets, we see a strong turnaround. So that is what I see happening. Yeah, I mean, really, folks, there's nothing really to discuss here about this other than it's literally just to hurry up and wait. Yesterday on the broadcast at Cryptosomniacs, asked about, is the bottom in? Do we see 5,800? All that jazz. And I talked about consolidation and how you go back to just Dow Theory 101, and we just look at wait a minute, why isn't this? What are you doing? Why isn't this? Why can't I? What the hell? Well, that's odd. Why can't I change the time? All right. Well, know that. Okay, if we go back and we just do that Dow Theory 101, I mean, what do you want to see prior to an expansion phase? You want to see prices consolidate and constrict. Okay? And that's what we're seeing. But then what you want to see also is a fake out. This is a normal thing to have happen, where you'll see an initial push to try and move things and drive things lower, but ultimately it doesn't work. It turns into a fake out, but oftentimes that flush is what's needed to kind of generate the. I think of it like pulling back on a bowstring. Like you need to get some drawback. You need to like pull back and then release. I think that's what I think of. So we're stuck here like in a constricted zone where if you're like holding a bow and arrow, and where I live, in Yankton, South Dakota, this is the archery capital of the United States. It's like one of the archery capitals of the world. The youth Olympians come here and shoot. It's the American archery headquarters is here. There's a lot of bow hunting and a lot of bow related activities that go on here. I can count on my fingers how many times I've gone bow hunting and how many times I've used a bow. Well, I should probably learn that. What do you think about it, though? This might be a good place to be during a zombie apocalypse, because once you run out of gunpowder, you still have bows and arrows. Anyways, you think of it like a bowstring, and before you pull back, it's just kind of sitting there, and it takes a little effort to draw it back, and then once you pull it back, then you release, it shoots, it flies. And that's what we are looking at here. That's what we want to see have happen, is we actually want to see a nice initial push down. And I was using the volume profile yesterday, and I was mentioning that, this is what we want to, see here as this form support and then eventually move higher. But it's not out of the realm of possibilities for prices to travel down and check out that 4,200 area. Now, what if it does? I don't think it'll sit there very long, okay? This is a support zone. I think prices come down here. You see something like this happen. I mentioned this last night. You see this December 22nd. What happened with Bitcoin? It shot all the way down, and then it went down oh my gosh, this is so weird to think of it. But it went down, or it opened at 15,758. Went down like $6,000, folks. Lost almost $6,000, but then it got bought right back up. That's what I would expect to see moving forward if that was to be a thing that would happen. I would see a flash crash followed by an equally fast recovery to the top side. And that would be the kind of slingshot bowstring pullback thing that we would that we've been talking about, that we would see have happen. So, yeah, that is definitely the scenario I see playing out here. So, yeah. Anyways, really don't have any more than that. I've got some emergency things to take care of here, but that is how it goes sometimes. Sorry I wasn't here that long today, but life is life as it is, and I will be here tomorrow morning for the Forex markets, and for the rest of you, I will be around and be here in the afternoon for the crypto markets. And I know for sure tomorrow I will have a full uninterrupted day, which is nice. And yeah, please bring your questions tomorrow too, because I want to make sure it's a Q&A session. And if you have questions, leave them in the comments too. If you can't be here, if you watch the recordings, I know a lot of people watch the recordings, so you can just drop those in, and I'll answer those for you as well. So anyways, have a great rest of your trade day, folks, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.